In this video, we're going to go over an alternative setup for using Voicemeeter as an assistant to Reaper the master. The Reaper's on the bottom right here and partially covered up by YPlog and Mumble. One of the advantages to this setup is there's a stability increase in the Mumble input volume stabilization, so that it's a little better controlled as how much volume gets into the input of Mumble. And also the second advantage is I can adjust all the monitors for all the different audio sources I'm sending into Mumble. I can use these monitors on the right to adjust them without affecting the Mumble input volume. And that's using the Reaper send additional command in the routing button. I'll go over that in just a second. So let's take a look at the top of the screen here, and I'll go over what we're using Reaper for as a master. Reaper has a very good WAS API exclusive mode. I'm going to open up the settings and let you take a look. You're going to lose the audio, but I'll come right back. Okay, so we're in exclusive mode at 48K and 160 buffer frames, and that's as fast as this computer will go. That Reaper understands the limitations of the Realtek soundcard, and that's as fast as I can go, and it's been very, very stable and extremely low latency. The latency is on the order of 12 to 13 milliseconds from the time you activate a Morse code mechanically until the time you hear the tone. So that's really fast. So at the top we have Morse keys, and again, one of the advantages is using a second track in Reaper called side tone to hear Morse keys. So I'm going to use the first track just to send it to Mumble and to guide the audio in correct volume, and also to send it to this other track so I can use its slider called side tone, which is right here, so that I can adjust how much I want to hear, but it won't affect how much goes to the Mumble input. So we monitor the input, so right click that and make sure there's a check mark there. Go to the routing table, uncheck mark master, and as you see I have a send called side tone. And that's where I'm going to adjust how much I want to hear. Now to get it to the Mumble input, we go up here and select Reroute 1 and Reroute 2, because that's where Voicemeeter is listening. And it goes to this first input it has an ASIO return function in Voicemeeter, which is really excellent. So for the A1 output, we have Reroute ASIO, because it has a direct relation to the numbers on the inputs in Reaper. And that's a great function on Reaper. You have to install Reroute ASIO when you first install it, so there's an additional step to take as you look at the install instructions. You'll have an opportunity to open up the additional software, click that plus sign, scroll to the bottom, and make sure that Reroute ASIO is checkmarked if you want to try this. In the Voicemeeter settings, we have it as fast as it can go possibly. We're in Swift mode, we're in WDM exclusive mode, yes. And the WDM and KS kernel streaming are at 160, and I have the MME drivers as low as it will go at 480. My Realtek will not work at 128, so 160 was as fast as I can go. Now in the patch Composite, we have number 2 left, which is right here, so that's going to be Reroute 1, and this is Reroute 2. Now I'm saving this input here just for the ASIO return, so we're not using 1 left or 1 right. So then we go to this second channel, hardware 3, which will be Reroute 3 and 4. So this is Reroute 1, Reroute 2, Reroute 3, Reroute 4, Reroute 5, 6, 7, and 8. So we have 1 through 8, and that is a direct relation to where we want to open up the input tracks on Reaper and make sure that we have it designated correctly. So if we want to hear the microphone, we go into the first one of the tracks in Reaper and say the input should be reroute 1 and 2. So reroute 1 and 2, 3 and 4, if you get the idea. And I'll go over this in a little bit more detail as we go along. On Voicemeeter, we have to make sure this is in composite mode since we're splitting up all the channels and not just combining them all. Everything else can be normal. For the two virtual audio cards that install when you install Voicemeeter, that's what we're using to go to and from Mumble. Mumble will listen to Voicemeeter AUX for its input, and the Mumble output will come in to Voicemeeter here on Voicemeeter VAIO. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on Voicemeeter AUX is 7, 8. So Voicemeeter VAIO is 5, 6. So in Reaper, if we want to hear the Mumble output, see if we scrumble down here. There we go. Reroute 5 and 6. So that's how you get those proper designations. So let's go up here again and show you another advantage, and that's having your own separate tracks just to monitor. So you can use the sliders to monitor how much side tone or how much of the audio source that you want to hear, but it will never change how much goes to the Mumble input. So we found a way here through Reaper's features so that we can set the proper amount of volume to the Mumble input by watching these digital level meters here. The meter on the upper left is the Mumble in, the meter on the bottom left is the Mumble output. So we have the Morse keys. Where I have paddles. I have a straight key coming into the computer, and it's going to this first track in Reaper, and I'm sending it to reroute 1 and 2, which is why you see Mumble in on the upper left here on this meter activated around minus 14.5. So I just adjusted this reroute slider here until this measured about 14.4. So I'm going to quiet my microphone and we'll send a tone. So let's adjust that and bring it down a little bit. So now we're at minus 8. So you get the idea. So you can fiddle with that, and you can also climb in here and get those numbers changed with text instead of doing the slider. So let's go up to 9, 8. There we go. Let's see what that does. There we go. That's close enough. So that's the basic idea, and you can fine-tune that if you want to. But now I never change the volumes that are coming into the input, and I never change this volume. Once it's set, it will always be about the same volume, whether it's the paddle or the straight key. So that's set, but now if I try to adjust the volumes here with the Morse keys slider, then that's going to change. That will change how much goes to Mumble, so I don't want to do that. So I tell this track to send it to sidetone. So you just create another track, call it sidetone, and then when you come in here, you can see that it's listed. And you just select that, then it will send it to sidetone here. And I don't worry about the volumes there, so we'll go down to sidetone. And you see it's sliding up. And over here, this sidetone, so I'm going to turn it down. And yet the Mumble input's still the same. So that lets you adjust your sidetone just how much or how little you want it. And here's another track in Voicemeeter. We have desktop audio through Voicemeeter AUX. We have a virtual audio cable. We have, as a playback device, Voicemeeter AUX. So we'll turn this on for a second.
Whether it's software, hardware, whatever tickles our Linux fancy. I am Cody Cooper, aka Supercoop,
and as you see, we have we can send desktop audio to the input of Mumble, and I'm going to adjust that monitor So again, we do the same thing here. We add a new send, desktop monitor, and that's the track that I'm going to adjust how much I want to hear. And we send it to Mumble. We want this audio to go to Mumble, so we select reroute 1 and 2, and I've already adjusted it. And let's take another look at it.
I'm here with my good friend, the Door-to-Door Geek, aka...
And I've adjusted it because I have a function here with some automatic gain control. So I've set it to minus 14.5. No matter how much that desktop audio is putting out, it's going to go to the monitor track and also to the input of Mumble at that amount of volume. I've also have a little equalizer, little multi-band compressor, and a little bass booster. So let's
Stephen McLaughlin. How's it going, Dort?
turn that on.
Hey, Super Coop. It's going better now. I finally got a little bit of rest. Went up to FalseCon. Basically hung out with Russ the Beast Wenner, Dan Fry from Tilts, Health Nuts, and formerly of Mythcast was there as well. And we were...
Okay. Now when I don't want desktop audio, I'm going to mute it like that. That lets me use software CW keyboard using Voicemeeter AUX as well, which is a default sound card. And I've applied that at another track. So all I have to do is mute this track, and I can use that same virtual audio card, the Voicemeeter AUX, which I've set up right here. So it's using reroute 7 and 8 again. 7 and 8's right here. Voicemeeter AUX. 5, 6 is Voicemeeter VAIO. 3, 4, the Behringer. 1, 2, the USB microphone that you're hearing now. As far as the numbers and how they correlate to reroute ASIO. So we've set that up, and then right click, monitor input, and let's route it. So I'm sending it to the YP log monitor, which is a track just below it, so that I can vary how much I want to hear. And anything you want to go to Mumble, we just use reroute 1, reroute 2 as a new hardware input, and adjust the volume. So I have it at minus 981. So if I would bring up YP log, send some CW. You see that it's very stable volume on the left. It's going in just at the right amount of volume. And I can adjust with YP log monitor. I can adjust it even off if I don't want to hear the side tone. And if you wanted to hear it pretty loud, you can turn it up. It can go above 0 dBm just a little bit. And you get a little bit of distortion when you do that. So there's 0. We'll take it down right about there, just to barely hear it. And yet, no matter where I adjust this, it's always about the same going to the Mumble input because we're doing it this way. Because we're using the audio source as its own track to just send to Reaper and to send to another track for monitoring. So the send, add new send, is YP log monitor, which has already been done. That's track 11. And the new hardware output is that reroute 1 and 2. Anything you want to go to Mumble, you just click that if you have an audio source. So every track has its own audio source, or it's a monitor from a previous track that was laid down. And always unclick the master when you do this, because you don't want to hear the audio coming from this track. You want to hear it coming from that track. The other thing is, you see when on the monitor tracks we have the record disabled, so you just put input none. And you don't even have to click monitor input that way, since we're not having an input. It's just a track that's going to the output. So we'll bring that back up, make sure it's working. Very good. So that sounds pretty good. We're also using desk pins so that when we have all this software up and running, I can adjust these sliders without losing YP log. So if I didn't like how much volume was in and I wanted to turn it up or down, I wouldn't lose focus and have to come down here and click this again. Same thing with Mumble, we have it always on top as well for the very same reason, because it's on top of some of Reaper. And because of my 720 screen size here, the room is comes at a premium here. So this fit very well. Just the right amount of sliders are available, and you can arrange them even better than this, so that you don't, for the desktop, I wouldn't have to undo Mumble. I could just take desktop audio and replace it with YP log, switch those two. And that way I can mute the desktop audio so I can use YP log, because YP log's always going to be on. I don't need to mute it because I'm not going to send anything until I go over here. Now we can also use any CW keyboard by using the default sound card, which is the Voicemeeter AUX. So we have CW type, does the same thing. And we also have FL Digi. As you hear and see, they all come in at about the same. We've set everything at 0 dB because we're regenerating it in this track here. So that's another advantage. You can apply plugins, and that plugin will stay there when you send its audio. The output audio from this track goes to this track. So I'm just doing the same technique as before. We're regenerating using a gate where the threshold just makes it, and that key's a sine wave synthesizer at 4 milliseconds rise and 4 milliseconds fall. Goes through a final polishing filter, 6-pole bandpass filter with these edges, 500 hertz and 1011 hertz here. And it works pretty good. So all the keyboards sound exactly the same because we're regenerating them and we're controlling the volumes. By again, like this one I have minus 9.81 to reroute 1 and 2. That controls the volume here. Let's do a little loopback test here so you can see the Mumble output. I'm going to send a tone. So the input and the output sound very close together, and you heard my voice repeat, so you know that it was going to the server and back, just so you can test how your own audio sounds to everybody else on Mumble. It's a very good thing to do and let you test how you sound. Another trick is you can turn the keyboard off, the monitor off, and send some CW. Even though I don't hear it, it's going to the Mumble input. So I'll use this to test it as well. And you can do some typing here or send a little audio file and just kind of listen to see how your signal sounds. And if you right click on your icon there and go to information, you can take a look at your packet losses. So I'm doing pretty good so far. This UDP network statistics. So I have 3 late packets, and from all this kind of from client to client. Of course, that's not a lot of traffic, but you can definitely tell. If you get a lot of pops and clicks on your Mumble, check this and see if you're losing packets, or you get late packets. And sometimes you can change that setting by watching these buffers here. So this audio per packet is 1 buffer, so I have it all the way to the left, which gives me the lowest latency. But you can dial that up a couple or 1 or 2 notches. That's as most as you can get. And sometimes that has better performance. So you have to send a file, see how many pops and clicks you're getting. If you're not hearing too many, it's not bugging you. It probably won't bug anybody else. And there's always QRN and QRM on the internet, on using VoIP anyway, because of all the routing hops and other things that you run into in delays. On the audio output, we have a default jitter buffer, so that's another thing you can check if you're getting some, QRN or QRM from packet dropouts or packet delays. You're going to get audio pops and clicks, and the output delays the same way. You can change all this. Try it as fast as you can, which is 10 milliseconds on default jitter buffer and output delay, and on the input. Make sure you have this advanced checked, otherwise you won't see these extra settings. This audio per packet, just take that to the left and then see how it does. So let's turn the loop back on again and see how we go. I may already have something to play here. Okay, that sounded pretty good. So I played a file, and I just copy-pasted a script from W4BQF's copying CW over 70 words a minute article, and just stuck it in there through the edit paste command. And then you can listen to that for a while with your monitor all the way off, and you'll just hear it from the loopback on Mumble if you have it selected. So let's review here just a little bit. The reason I like this setup is it fits on a 720 screen, and all my sliders here allow me to hear everything that I'm using from Voicemeeter with a microphone, a line in, and 2 virtual audio cables that let the audio go to Mumble and come out of Mumble using the Reroute ASIO driver. So this all fits perfectly on my 720 screen here. If you adjust it just right, and then I don't have to worry about everything. You can have a really good session and send with your paddles or straight key, bug, and you can adjust the volumes accordingly. And you've already preset the volumes, and all this will save on Reaper and Voicemeeter, so you don't have to reset it again. So once you set it once and get it right, just make sure you save it, and when you bring it up again, it'll be just like that. We have a line in. I think I have a couple more things I wanted to show you. Here's a line in coming from an HF. As you see on the left, it was set to the same amount. So for the line in, we have a line in. And again, I don't listen to it from here. I listen to it from the monitor. So the line in, once again, we send it to the line in monitor track so I can monitor it, take it off of master, and we send it to reroute 1 and reroute 2 because we want it to go to Mumble, and that's the volume that seemed to be just about the right amount, minus 14.5. And this goes to Voicemeeter on this first track because the first track correlates in here for the ASIO return, patch ASIO input back to the strip. This is the first input, second hardware input, and third input. We have 1 and 2 here, so there it is. So that's why when we select reroute 1 and 2, it goes here. In that, in the direction towards Voicemeeter. Then once it hits this input track, it goes right to B2, only B2, and it goes out Voicemeeter AUX. And this is a great program that really provides a great function for getting stuff just right to the input of Mumble and letting Reaper do its job on send audio to another track for monitoring. So here's my mic monitor, and I can take that up and down. You could even take it off if you didn't want to have a voice conversation where you heard yourself. I like to do this because I like to be able to position my mic a little bit and make sure that I'm hearing And with this low latency settings, I don't notice a delay that bothers you and slows you down. Now the side tone, that goes with Morse keys, and you can adjust that accordingly. Desktop audio, if you wanted to play, like I said, an audio file, once again.
The last known god from many IRC channels. Yeah, and we hung with him at NELF.
Anyway, we'll slow that down. You just have to remember to turn the audio off if you want to use, when you want to use YP log. So you mute the track and you mute or pause the audio. Otherwise, since you're using the Voicemeeter AUX for both of those, even though you're using second tracks, the desktop audio will combine with the YP log audio and it won't work right. So you have to remember to mute both of those. And then YP log again is working. We have the side tone off. You double click, it goes back to 0 dB, and now we're back. And I don't have to worry about muting the YP log monitor, since it's only producing audio when we type in here. And we only type in here after we've muted any audio file that you're playing or stopped any audio file. And if we want to mute the desktop audio too, because it's going through some VSTs. Like we showed you, the graphic slider, the multi-banding. We don't want YP log going this route, so we use a different track for that. That's why we use an additional track, even though it's the same. Reroute 7 and 8 here. Desktop audio, reroute 7 and 8. So Reaper allows you to do that. It's a very versatile program. And I think that's just about it. Having everything fit on a 720 screen and without Mumble being super tiny, I can still type in here. I can still see everybody on here. I can go from screen to screen and adjust the sliders, and nothing disappears from the desktop because I'm using desk pins for YP log. If your program has a menu in it where you can keep it on top, then you don't need desk pins, but YP log did not have that, so I found that very useful. One of the things I like most about YP log, besides the ability to adjust all these settings, I'm just using the standard here, and being able to set the font, transmit color, but you can resize this window, and the typing behavior in YP log is exceptional. There are both oddities to other software CW keyboards that I've used, that it makes typing somewhat distractive when it scrolls or it jumps, or sometimes it hides a part of a letter and it's hard to see what you were typing. Where that doesn't happen on YP log when it's typing. Very smooth typing on here. So it's an excellent program. I wish it was still under support, but it's not. You'll have to contact Tony if you have any questions about YP log and you would like to give it a try. I think that's just about it. I've gone over pretty much all the advantages, I think, of this setup. And once again, thank you for watching.